So I'm Carolyn Crowder, the proud Executive Director of the Denver Classroom Teachers. Balance of experienced and new staff, Billy Husher and Doris Gonzalez. I get to work with the DCTA bargaining team, and so I'm just going to do an overview of our bargaining priorities. DCTA is committed to student-based bargaining. So I'm going to talk about a student and how our bargaining priorities would have affected him. The student's name is Scott. In my first year of teaching in Mustang, Oklahoma, Scott was a student in one of my third grade music classes. He was an average student. He wasn't really good at anything, but he wasn't bad. He was just average. He wasn't very popular among other kids. Many thought he was kind of a nerd because he didn't excel in anything. He didn't excel in academics. He didn't excel in sports. And he wore these really bad black square glasses. The only time he was even noticed by others was when he mimicked the principal. Now, Scott had Mr. Bruce down cold. He could do Mr. Bruce's voice, his mannerisms, and even his walk. I thought of this when Scott became a fourth grader and I needed someone to play a sports announcer for my Oklahoma Land Run play. I wrote 9 of those when I taught music in Mustang. Every year I had one I knew. The play told the story of the land run from the perspective of a modern-day sportscaster. I had run out of a lot of different perspectives. Broadcasting one of the most important races in the nation's history. I asked Scott if he would like to try out for the lead. He looked shocked. And I said, do the same thing you do when you mimic Mr. Bruce. Study one of the sportscasters on TV and become them. Well, he tried it, and he was great. The next year, he became Linus in my production of the Charlie Brown Christmas. I've never seen anyone do that role better. And then he went on to middle school, and I didn't see him for a few years until he came back one night to open house. He was a junior in high school, and he had better glasses, but I still recognized him. So when I told him how glad I was to see him, he said, well, I had to come back so I could thank you. I asked for what? And he said, well, before I spent time in your class, I was okay at a lot of things, but that was it. I was just okay. But you helped me find what I was good at. And when I found out what my abilities really were, I kept involved in speech, debate, and drama through middle school and high school. And I came back to tell you I just won a debate scholarship to college. He said, Mrs. Crowder, you changed my life. These folks out here don't just teach. They change lives. And they do it every day. And one of these days, we need to quit blaming teachers for everything wrong in education and instead partner with them to make things better. Right. That is what this bargaining session is. To accomplish this, DCTA has made student success a top priority, and we will be talking a lot about the time we need to plan, reflect, and prepare. And by the way, planning time can't just be all about sitting in a room with a bunch of other people and having someone tell you what to do. Teachers actually need time for individual, uninterrupted planning to reflect on our practice and figure out how to reach kids like Scott. Now, some are probably thinking, so you need to embrace extended learning opportunities, or ELOs, the short acronym. My answer to this is, if done right. 85% of Denver educators attending NBC's Education Nation Town Hall last Sunday said they are in favor of extended learning opportunities if done right. Research says that to do it right, investments must not be wasted on programs that spend time on more of the same. A vast majority of our survey respondents in schools that had tried ELO or were considering it said their plans were more of the same. Research also says that stakeholder involvement must be present through the entire planning and implementation process. Now, we are glad and thankful that after the last board meeting, the district reversed a previous decision and are allowing teachers in the affected ELO pilot schools a vote on their plans. Now, we're a little concerned that there's already been confusion with the district process for this, including the fact that possibly some of the educators who will be affected by the change may be excluded from the vote. So we're monitoring the situation and look forward to bargaining the issue starting next week to hopefully ensure contract language that spells out a clear, inclusive process for extended learning programs and ensures these programs are truly innovative and not more of the same. Educator excellence is another top priority for us. DCTA is committed to the retention and recruitment of teachers with the knowledge and skills to provide precise, rigorous instruction. This includes advocating for competitive professional compensation. Now, this won't happen if we keep freezing salary elements and considering things like asking educators to start paying part of the current district contribution to their retirement. Now, that idea would result in a compensation cut. We can't take a cut after 2 years of freezes. Time to spend with Scott and other students before and after school because I didn't have to get a second job during that time in my life. 40% of DCTA survey respondents don't have that privilege. Our other top priority is shared accountability. DCTA is prepared to share joint accountability in determination of who should stay in the education profession and who should seek other employment, and how to create the kind of evaluation system that provides the supports to do that right. Now, I'll admit I've got some talent, but I didn't start out a life changer. I had some help. Oklahoma implemented an extensive mentor system years ago where peer evaluators and principals work together to help teachers have a true growth experience. All of our teachers need a fair and equitable system that allows growth to continue throughout their career. But to make this work, both sides have to be willing to take some risks, and that includes trading control for partnership. DCTA believes shared accountability includes implementing all provisions of Senate Bill 191 according to law and according to what makes sense for a productive education environment, not one fraught with confusion and time spent arguing over what the words mean. This takes time away from discussing what kids mean, which is why we are anxious for the arbitrator's ruling on many of the Senate Bill 191 elements and why we want to come to a clear, negotiated agreement on how this law will be implemented fairly in DPS. Negotiations can be about winning and losing. It can be about stalemates or forced settlements, or it can be about mutual respect. Now, I'm not a Pollyanna. I know we're not going to agree on everything, and both sides will not get everything they want. But we need to care enough about student success, educator excellence, and shared accountability to replace winning with solutions. If we do that, these teachers out here get to change more lives. Thank you.